The tragic death of Beau Shroyer, a story of betrayal and tragedy in Angola. Beau Shroyer was a man of conviction, a devoted missionary pastor from Minnesota who had spent the better part of his life in the service of others. A man known for his compassion and his tireless efforts to spread the Christian faith, Beau was admired by his community in his hometown and by those whose lives he touched across the globe. His life, however, took an unfortunate turn in the fall of 2024, when his mission to Angola ended in a tragic and senseless act of betrayal. Beau Shroyer had always dreamed of making a difference in the world. Having grown up in a small town in Minnesota, he had always been deeply involved in his church and local charity work. After his graduation from seminary, he chose the path of missionary work, specifically in remote and underdeveloped regions of the world. In 2022, after years of planning and raising support, he moved with his wife, Emma, and their 2 children to Angola, a country rich in culture but burdened by economic difficulties and political instability. Beau and Emma were well known in their community for their generous spirits and dedication to helping others. Together, they had founded a small Christian outreach program aimed at helping local communities in Angola through education, healthcare, and spiritual support. They settled in the city of Luanda, the country's capital, and began working with local pastors and church leaders, aiming to create a network of support for those in need. In the summer of 2024, Beau had received an invitation from a local pastor in a rural part of Angola to visit a small village in the interior, located in the province of Huila. The village had been struggling with issues like poverty, lack of access to clean water, and high rates of disease. Beau saw this as an opportunity to reach out to the most vulnerable and provide assistance where it was most needed. With Emma's blessing, he began to make arrangements to travel to the village, accompanied by a local guide and translator. On October 23, 2024, Beau set off for the village, accompanied by a local guide named João, a man in his mid-30s who had been recommended by the church. João had a reputation as a reliable and trusted guide, one who was familiar with the terrain and the people in the remote areas of Angola. Although Beau had always relied on his faith and the people around him, he had no reason to doubt João's ability to ensure his safety. Emma, although nervous about the trip, trusted her husband's judgment. In the days leading up to Beau's departure, the 2 had exchanged messages about their hopes for the trip and the impact they hoped it would have on the villagers they were going to visit. But something in Emma's gut told her that something was wrong. There was a palpable tension in the air that she could not shake. As Beau made his way through the lush, rolling hills of Huila, he was unaware that João was not just a guide, but an integral part of a plan to betray him. João had been working with a criminal syndicate operating in the area, a group that was involved in illicit activities ranging from human trafficking to smuggling. But this was not the end of the story. What shocked Beau the most was the realization that his wife, Emma, was in on the plot. Unbeknownst to Beau, Emma had been secretly in communication with João for several months prior to his trip. Struggling with her own emotional turmoil and feeling abandoned by Beau, who had become increasingly absorbed in his mission and less attentive to their marriage, she had been manipulated by João. The 2 had exchanged intimate messages, and João had convinced Emma that their financial troubles and marital struggles could be solved if they followed through with a drastic plan, eliminating Beau and collecting the insurance money he had taken out for their family's future. João, with his promises of wealth and a better life, preyed on Emma's vulnerabilities. He had slowly convinced her that Beau's death would offer her freedom from her marital woes and a financial escape. Emma, feeling isolated and emotionally abandoned, reluctantly agreed to the plot. It was a decision that would change her life forever. On October 25, 2024, Beau and João arrived at the remote village, where they were greeted by a small group of locals, eager to hear Beau's teachings and to receive whatever help they could. Beau had planned to spend the day delivering a sermon and meeting with local villagers to discuss their needs. What he did not know was that, as the day unfolded, he would fall victim to the brutal and calculated plan of betrayal that had been set into motion days earlier. At midday, as the group took a break for lunch in the dense forest surrounding the village, João suggested they take a walk through the area to explore the surroundings. It was during this walk that the ambush occurred. Joao, in an act of cold calculation, attacked Beau from behind. The initial blow was a strike to Beau's head, knocking him to the ground. As Beau struggled to comprehend what was happening, Joao pulled out a knife and, with deliberate malice, plunged it into Beau's chest. The attack was swift and brutal. Beau, disoriented and in immense pain, attempted to defend himself, but Joao overpowered him. Just moments later, Beau was dead. Joao quickly covered up the scene, making it appear as though Beau had been attacked by wild animals in the wilderness. He used his position of trust to manipulate the locals into believing the story, and in the chaos, no one suspected the true culprit. But what Joao didn't know was that the plan had not gone entirely as Emma had hoped. Instead of seeing it as a way to gain financial freedom, Emma was now left with the overwhelming guilt of what she had allowed to happen. The weight of her decision crushed her as she realized she had betrayed the man she once loved. The authorities in Angola were immediately notified of Beau's death, and a thorough investigation was launched. As the pieces of the puzzle began to come together, investigators learned of Emma's involvement and the role she had played in the plot. The combination of local testimony, evidence found on Joao's person, and Emma's communications with the guide ultimately led to the arrest of both Joao and Emma. The revelation of Emma's role in Beau's murder shocked their community back in Minnesota. Friends, family, and church members struggled to understand how someone as devoted to God as Emma could participate in such a heinous act. The people who had supported Beau's mission were devastated by the news of his death, and the tragedy spread like wildfire, leaving scars that would take years to heal. Emma was arrested in Luanda and extradited to Angola to face trial for her role in the murder of her husband. Joao, the local guide, was also apprehended, and the two stood trial together for the cold-blooded killing of the missionary pastor, leading to his shocking murder and the unraveling of their family. The story of Beau Shroyer's death on October 25, 2024, remains one of the most tragic and heartbreaking events in the annals of modern missionary work. Beau had dedicated his life to helping others, to spreading compassion and hope to those in need. Yet, in the end, it was the very people closest to him, his wife and his trusted guide, who betrayed him in the most unimaginable way. Emma, grappling with the overwhelming weight of guilt, faced trial for her role in the murder. She expressed deep remorse for her actions, but was unable to undo the irreversible damage she had caused. As for Joao, his conviction was equally severe, and he faced years of imprisonment for his part in the crime. The tragic events of Beau Shroyer's death serve as a haunting reminder of the dangers that exist in the world, not only from external threats, but from the betrayal of those who are supposed to love and protect us the most. Beau's legacy as a devoted missionary lives on, but his untimely and brutal death serves as a painful reminder of how even in the most remote corners of the world, betrayal can occur, shattering lives, families, and entire communities.